Welcome. Yeah, I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Really what we're going to be talking about in short snippets of code, I don't want to make this video too long, is we're going to be talking about shell execute and its importance. Um, with the shell execute command, it can be really powerful, but also detrimental. So I don't recommend running this in a production server, especially if you've never used shell execute before. I would really just focus on training up on it, what it's about, how it's useful, and kind of incorporate it into your day to day. Once you become more familiar with all the ways that shell execute can be taken advantage of, you would want to protect against that. But let's start with the first portion of it. So right now I'm on Windows, so I'm going to be using just a local host UAMP. So let's go into UAMP real quick. All right, and we'll go into the www and we'll create a new folder. And I'll call this folder Python because we're working with a Python folder for now, or a Python file. And then here we'll just create two new files. So the first file we'll call, I don't know, what are we going to call this? We'll call this index.php, make it simple. Yes, and then we're going to create a new file for the Python. That's going to be super simple, nothing crazy here, and that'll just be called, we're going to call the Python file. So we'll change that to a .py. All right, so the first thing we can go ahead and do is we'll open this up in code. And the shell execute command is really simple. There's nothing special about the way that it's written. There's nothing that you need to do really complicated. So right now we'll just create a variable output, and we'll do that because I'll show you how to explode some of the inputs that you're getting a little bit later. So let's say the output equals, and then it'll be shell underscore execute. And then in our case, you have to have Python installed. So this video is not going to cover installing Python. So just make sure you have Python installed, because obviously the Python script won't work if you do that. One of the things that we can change is the IP config. So for example, on Windows, you can see all the IP addresses. So we can actually run this real quick. Let's go ahead and just finish the code up. And we'll echo the output, save that. And then we'll just go in PHP. And you can see here immediately, everything from the command line that would have run from Windows shows up, right? So this is no different than if I were to go to CMD and type in ipconfig. So essentially what PHP did is took the output that Windows returned and put it into a PHP file. Okay, so let's change this to our folder for where the Python file is. So we're going to go into this directory, right? So it's easier just to copy the address, go into our code, paste this, and then this one was called call.py. And then the only thing that we need to change here is obviously when we run Python in the command line, we need to run it the same way we would run it in PHP with the shell execute. So we put Python in the beginning and then the file path. On Linux, it's almost exactly the same. It'll be Python. And then in this particular case, instead of it being C, it'll probably be /var/www, wherever your www folder exists on your current environment itself. All right, so that takes care of the index.php file. So the other thing that we need to do is create our Python file, which is super simple. One of the reasons just about everyone in the community loves Python. It's so easy to do code in the system itself. So hello world, this is Carlos. All right. Okay, so now that the Python file is created, let's just make sure the file path is right, call.py, yes, boom. So you can see essentially what it did is it essentially called the command line like you would call the command line with anything, right? So the nice thing about this is you essentially can run anything that you would run in command line within your PHP and utilize it. And the way I'm going to show you how to do that is, for example, like it has a comma here. We can actually explode this and create variables out of them, print them, use them within the website. Your imagination is going to be the limit for this. But let's go ahead and just write some quick explode. All right, so what we need to do here is just delete this. Then we'll create our variable for exploding. So we'll just call it explode me. equals, and then we run the explode. And then we'll separate it by a comma because we want to explode at the comma point. Then we reference our output. Since it'll be an array, we need to write a for each. From the for each, we then call explode me. And since I'm not going to get really creative today, I'm just going to call it stuff. All right. And then this part is super simple. You just echo stuff, append it with some, or prepend it with some HTML so you can see that it actually explodes. Save that. And if I wrote my code correctly, there you go. So it now split it on both lines. And this is really simple for, what we're currently doing today, but you can see how powerful it can be within the application itself. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching the video. Bye.